Hi, this is the analysis of Nick 4 here. For this video, I'm just doing a Batman Arkham Knight versus Spider-Man comparison. So two superhero open world games, same genre, lots of content between these two games. Very similar, very similar games. In the overall pacing, the map, the fighting, how you get around like in the world, story and so on. So like, share, subscribe, share the video all over, and check out my recent gameplay videos, please. I feel because Spider-Man does have more replayability, and the story is not as disappointing. Batman Arkham Knight, if I compare it to the previous Arkham games, Arkham Knight is kind of a letdown, but it still holds up a good like on its own, kind of. But Spider-Man is, right, but Spider-Man like just feels like the perfect adaptation of Spider-Man, and just the pieces, you guys, spoilers, Mr. Negative and all that, and the Wilson Fisk, everything, the Devil's Breath plot, everything just comes so well together, like in the plot, overall plot. Spider-Man is also shorter too, so the campaign, you can replay it more times, so every time I replay it, I'm talking about the single player, I do replay it more than Batman Arkham Knight. It is longer, it is harder to replay, I feel, because again the story is kind of a letdown with the Arkham Knight and Scarecrow, and I relies too much on the Batmobile. So there is more disappointing factors in Batman Arkham Knight in the overall linear, in the story, a linearity. Spider-Man is, again, it is shorter, the story is overall better, stronger, and yeah, so it is easier for me to replay it. Let's go into content now. Both are they're very tight in this category, because on one side, Batman Arkham Knight has a lot of content in, when I talk about, like, you have arcade mode. Like in arcade mode, you have combat challenges, stealth challenges, you have racing, races like with the Batmobile, nightmare races, and all that, and tons of DLC, lots of DLCs, and there is multiple characters that you can play as. Spider-Man does not have that, however. Spider-Man has more. Spider-Man does have the, overall, like, collectibles. You have the side content with Taskmaster, stealth challenges, combat challenges, and combat waves as well. Like when Spider-Man, for the most part, you're only playing as Spider-Man. You are only playing as Spider-Man. Batman Arkham Knight, in the side content, you play as 6 other characters: Harley Quinn, Nightwing, Robin, Azrael, Batgirl, Arkham Knight / Red Hood. So you play as more characters in the side content. So that allows for more playability and the side content. Now, going into the side content again, you're mostly fighting waves of thugs, trying to gather up like as much points as possible. Both games are very similar, and like when the time is done, or like when the waves are done, it's it's over. I move on to the next wave, or you see how many how many points you stack up. The stealth challenges is better. Batman Arkham Knight does do overall stealth better. In the stealth, it feels a lot more. Now you got okay, Batman Arkham Knight, you have more to work with, like in the stealth section. Spider-Man as well you do, but not as much as Batman Arkham Knight. He just masters stealth better, and Batman and his gadgets, right? The hacking, you can hack into things. You could use a batarang, go on gargoyles, fly down, glide down, or whatever, stealth takedowns. Spider-Man, I feel it's a lot, because the game is a lot easier. You're gonna die less. The stealth doesn't feel as immersive, but Batman, it is more challenging. The stealth is more challenging. So overall content does go to Batman Arkham Knight, and quickly on side content too. The more characters like every single character has their own scoreboard or whatever. So Azrael has a different scoreboard from Nightwing, and Nightwing has a different one from Robin, and so on, and Batman, and so on. So you can replay every single combat and stealth challenge with these different characters, with the 7 different characters. Now mechanics, Spider-Man, they're both fluent, very fluent. Batman, you do move a little more heavier. Spider-Man, you're obviously lighter, like on your feet. That's probably because the bat suit is heavier, obviously, than the spider suit. Even though Spider-Man does have super strength, Batman doesn't really have any superpowers. But the overall mechanics, you move around more fluently in the Spider-Man PS4. It is a lot more fluent in the movement, the jumping agility, the swinging. Batman Arkham Knight, you gotta, well, obviously with Batman, you have to stand and kind of look up and grapple onto something. Whereas Spider-Man can just grapple onto anything at any time in the air, in midair or whatever, because, infinite web shooting or whatever. So crouching as well, crouching does feel, well, there is no crouching in Spider-Man. Batman Arkham Knight has crouching. Both games have, the jump, the grab, the different types of, dodge abilities, roll ability, rolling. The combat does feel more fluent in Batman Arkham Knight, I will say, but the overall movement does feel a lot more fluent in the Spider-Man PS4. A lot more fluent. So, going into now how you get around in the world quickly. Spider-Man, you obviously web around the world. Batman Arkham Knight, you can grapple around the world, you can glide around the world, or you can use the Batmobile. The Batmobile. Now, the Batmobile kind of, again, drags the game down because the game does rely too much on it, like in the story, and feels very scripted. Spider-Man, there is nothing like that feels scripted, other than the fact that sometimes it does feel a little too easy. Spider-Man, the gameplay does feel a little easy, but yeah. No, difficulty. Let's talk difficulty. Batman Arkham Knight is harder. You're gonna die a lot more. Spider-Man, I really died in Spider-Man. Rarely did I die. It's because Spider-Man has Spidey sense, so he knows whenever danger is coming to him, right? So you just press circle like whenever danger is coming to you. So Batman Arkham Knight, you have to really. He has that too. At Arkham series has the counter effect, right? So when danger is coming to you. But because Spider-Man, you are more, like, just a gameplay, you are more fluent and you're faster, like, in the combat. Batman, you are gonna die more because, again, there is more enemy variety in Batman, right? There is huge brutes, there is shock brutes, there is these samurai, kind of like samurai sword mercenaries. They jump around and you gotta counter them like a certain way. Spider-Man doesn't have as much enemy variety, right? So, again, it is easier to tackle every combat situation at the same. Again, stealth, same thing, like I mentioned earlier, stealth, it is easier in Spider-Man. A lot easier. Web around, you're a lot quicker. You are a lot quicker, obviously. You can, when you're about to die, you can just, web away, like on a building or platform. In Batman Arkham Knight, it is slower. So, like, when you're about to get shot down, you are more likely to die. There's less of, an escape option. So, yeah, Batman Arkham Knight is more difficult. Now, let's talk about, like, overall, like, the open world and the immersion. Both games are tied, I feel like, in this case. They're very tied. Spider-Man does feel more, because it is, it takes place more in the daytime. So brighter colors, you're gonna see more of those brighter colors in the environment, the graphics, right? And you get to see more of the people. You get to see more NPCs. There is NPCs in the world, like civilians. Batman Arkham Knight there is no civilians on the road. Unless it's like a side mission where a firefighter gets captured or police gets captured. So, but again, the lack of civilians like on the road in Batman Arkham Knight makes the city feel dead. It's just mostly filled with thugs or whatever. Whereas Spider-Man, however, there is civilians all over. There are, civilian NPCs all over the world in New York City. And with the overall immersion, I would say Batman does have a little bit too high of an edge in that of the Batmobile. The Batmobile, because you are using the Batmobile, and basically the Batmobile does bring in more of that, realistic sound effects and the overall, like that, it just adds more to the immersion of the character of Batman. And when you play it, Spider-Man, you're mostly, swinging around. You're swinging around the world and whatever. So Yeah. I know immersion in terms of characters, they are both great adaptations, extremely amazing adaptations. Kevin Conroy's voice as Batman, right? He's just legendary. That's probably the best Batman voice ever. Spider-Man, I don't remember the voice actor who played Spider-Man, but amazing. Amazing as well, and mature Spider-Man. It's not kiddie like you look, like you see in the MCU. But both amazing adaptations as well as side characters. The voice acting is amazing. Jim Gordon, Alfred, Arkham Knight, you have Spider-Man, Doctor Octopus, Mary Jane. You have Mr. Negative and all that. The a police officer that helps you. So yeah, both equally immersive in that category. So going into it now, my overall feel for these games, right? So okay, abilities. Let's talk quickly abilities and gadgets. You have a lot of abilities and gadgets, right? You have the webbing in Spider-Man. You have the batarangs in Batman. You have basically the grapple hook. You have hacking devices. You have a shock device in Spider-Man. A shock device in Batman. Like this one ice grenade in Batman. You have as well. You have in Spider-Man. You have this kind of drone, this spider drone that shoots down enemies, non-lethal rounds. So there's tons of different gadgets and all that. Now Batman you have to utilize the gadgets more in Batman. Whereas Spider-Man is more by choice. It's more optional to utilize the different gadgets you get. So yeah, the approachability and the gameplay does force you to use the gadgets more in Batman Arkham Knight. Spider-Man is mostly, okay, in Batman is mostly you're using the gadgets to, I do like a puzzle, or you're using, like, for example, use a voice a synthesizer to hack into certain areas. So it's mostly using it to get through areas. Spider-Man, you're mostly using the gadgets to fight enemies, the web bomb, the web shock, so on, the what do you call it again? The web wind push, which is pretty cool. You get to push the enemies away. It's so cool. But overall, Batman does utilize the gadgets more, and there is slightly more gadgets in Batman Arkham Knight. Again, so yeah, gadgets, it does go the overall edge and special abilities. Now upgrade system, tons of upgrades are between both games. Lots of upgrades, so upgrading. For example, Batman, you're upgrading health, and Spider-Man, you're upgrading inventory, or in Spider-Man, you're also upgrading like your combos, Batman as well, combos, and your overall how you can use your gadgets or whatever. But more so, it is bigger. The upgrade system, it is more diverse, and there's more variety in the upgrade system in Batman Arkham Knight. Spider-Man, there is variety, but again, because a lot of the gadgets you use are mostly by choice in combat, you're not gonna, and it is easier. It's an easier game. You're not gonna feel as powered down if you don't upgrade as much. Batman, you have to upgrade. Now, my overall feel like for both games, I love Spider-Man. I just love the Spider-Man PS4. No, I know again, I'm not gonna go much into story here, but I just love, it just flows so well together. The overall side content flows so with the side content with the main story, how you go from point A to point B in the story, and how Spider-Man has to figure things out as the story goes on. It just flows so well with the story and the characters. Everything just flows so well. Batman Arkham Knight is the story is a bit of a letdown. But with all those other things I mentioned, the side content, the gadgets, how you use the gadgets, the approachability to certain scenarios, the puzzles, collectibles too, which I'm going to mention after. But overall, like Spider-Man, I do feel because the story is better, there's more replayability in that factor, in replaying the single player. Now, a little bit more inside content. I'm going to go a little bit more inside content. Quickly, like inside content, you in Spider-Man, you're going again, you're collecting things like collecting these backpacks that Spider-Man had around the city years ago. You take pictures of these settlements and landmarks. In Batman Arkham Knight, you gotta do the annoying Riddler trophies. So it is more annoying to do collectibles in Batman Arkham Knight. The Riddler trophies are annoying. The puzzles, the mazes, those robots. But it's Spider-Man. The collectibles are not annoying. It just flows. It's just flows a lot better. Like when you, it's a lot easier. And again, it's a lot easier for Spider-Man to get these collectibles. Again, I guess it kind of makes sense because in Batman he's a detective, so he has to kind of go through a certain challenge or like a puzzle in order to get the Riddler trophies. So again, a collectibles, it is easier in Spider-Man as well. The towers as well is easier. So overall, quickly here, immersion, they're equal in that category. Replayability, I would say Spider-Man because it is shorter. The story is better. The story is better in Spider-Man as well. The Psychon is better in Batman because you can play as many different characters. Mission variety, quickly I'll say, that's a hard category. Mission variety, I would say about equal. Batman, because you're doing more puzzles, I would say the mission variety does go to this. Upgrade systems is better in Batman Arkham Knight. Overall, overall fun in the game, I would say, man, it's hard. Because the story is a letdown in Batman Arkham Knight, and there is certain parts of the game that kind of, parts of the story that kind of take me out, of the experience. It does go, the overall fun does go to Spider-Man. Adaptations, both amazing adaptations. Abilities, more abilities, you use abilities more in Batman Arkham Knight. The pacing of the game, better in Spider-Man. Collectibles, better in Spider-Man. Collecting, and all that. So, overall, the edges go, it's equal. This is an equal comparison. But I do like Spider-Man more. I do enjoy Spider-Man more. I will say quickly again, the combat is better in Batman. But the combat is more, again, the controls, the mechanics are more fluent in Spider-Man. It's easier to get around, to fight, to do this and whatever. And the difficulty, Batman is more challenging. It's going to challenge you more. It's going to require you to think more. But Spider-Man is just a lot more quick. You are progressing faster in Spider-Man. You are going from point A to point B a lot faster. So the overall edge, I enjoy Spider-Man more, but Batman does win more the category. So Batman does win this comparison, Arkham Knight. But share, subscribe, guys. Share the video all over. Thanks for watching. There's gonna be gameplay implemented into this. So yeah. So you're not just looking at at these two cases. Thank you.